and take notes. All right, so we're going to drop down into the hourly chart. Okay, and I'm going to scroll back over here. So here is the low from Thursday's trading and the liquidity thereof, and for Thursday's high. So we have previous day's low sell side liquidity pool noted and Thursday's high buy side liquidity noted. So if we're going to be expecting an inside day, as I was suggesting we would see on Friday, before the market got off and started trading in 8:30 and 9:30 opening, that whole premise of being inside day is relative to this high and that low, meaning that we're not going to go lower, which we didn't, and we're not going to go higher, which we didn't. So that's narrative, okay? That's not bias. Bias would be, which direction are you trading? Narrative is how is the day going to trade? And what's it likely to aim for as a result? That's not bias, okay? It's a game plan. It's a roadmap as to what it should do, okay? Much like if you were traveling, you know where you want to go and you know where you are. And if you've been there before, you probably have alternate routes in mind. You don't necessarily need to have a map, but with a map, you can articulate to someone that may have never traveled there from where you are multiple routes. Well, that's narrative. You can provide a narrative between point A to point B because you've been there with experience. In the market, there's a narrative that the market will likely drive towards one direction, liquidity higher or lower, based on a procedure, okay, or a list of events that would transpire before it would do that. What would be an example of that? Well, taking out a previous day's low just to run out previous day's high. That's an extreme, but it can happen. The absence of something like that, when there's low volatility expected, would be staying inside the previous day's range. Now, if it's a Monday you're looking at and you're anticipating an inside day, you'd be referring to previous day of Friday, the previous last trading day, because the weekend we can't trade indices. So it's a matter of knowing what you're looking for and how it's likely to deliver in price. That's narrative. That's a little bit complicated, and it's going to take some time with me throughout 2023 to kind of get a feel for what that is. I don't always know exactly what the narrative is going to be. Sometimes I go in with an expectation it's going to do this or that, and I have to adjust and I have to adapt to what the market's doing, because manual intervention can come in and upset what I believe the algorithm is likely to do. It doesn't mean that I don't know how to find another trade that would not necessarily be in alignment with that pre-market analysis or narrative in mind. It just means that I have to be, just like everyone else, adaptive to what the market's going to do. It's a living, breathing organism, okay? And it's going to make its decisions based on the people that run it, okay? It's not buying and selling pressure that does it. So if we drop down into a 15-minute time frame, you can already see the signatures of it running up. Once it leaves, it comes back up. We'll go into that in a minute. Let's do a 15-minute chart. If you're new and all of this seems like it's going over your head, I promise if you go through all of the mentorship 2022, it's 41 videos. They're not all very long. It will help you understand what I'm showing you here as well. But here's that old real liquidity void where the market leaves it, comes back up, hits it, can't get back into it again. Why? Because now it's a balanced price range. And the market moves lower and then drifts lower. And then we have all of our imbalances now from the hourly chart, which was this to this. Let me go back up one more time. I'm sorry, I didn't do a good job there. This candle's high, that candle's low. That's your buy side and balance, sell side efficiency on the hourly chart. Now we can drop down into the 15. That's that same range there to there. But now we have more candles in it, okay? So I'm highlighting the fact that we have this range between this candle's high and that candle's low. That's this right here. Okay, I'm holding it so that we can see the difference in the contrasting blue colors. Now, when I'm trading, and this is going to be a very difficult thing for me to get through, admittedly, I don't trade with anything on my chart. I see the levels and then I work with them on the chart naked. I don't have any of this stuff on it. This is only to draw your attention to what my mind is considering salient to the market's delivery at the time of real-time data. So when I'm looking at price and I'm studying price, if I'm looking for a setup or if I'm managing a position, that hinges on all these types of things. And while I may not have them on the chart, and that's why it's sometimes confusing when I show my examples, I have very little things on my chart because it's a distraction to me. But as a new student, you're going to want to need to see these things on the chart so that way you can respect the level of precision and how the algorithm will respond to them. And I'll explain more of that as we go. But we have a buy sign and